An urgent warning from the Congressional Budget Office, the nonpartisan CBO, saying the nation's debt is on an unsustainable path. Senator John Thune is on the Budget and Finance Committee. He joins us. Good to see you, sir.
Nice to see you, Greta. Congratulations on the new time slot.
Thank you. We're very excited here on it. We're going to tell viewers a lot more about it in the next couple of weeks to come, but we're very excited. So thank you, sir.
Well, I hope I didn't break the news there. But,
no, you did not.
I know you're used to this, but your guests on the show will be a lot less sleepy, I think, at the 7
well, that's what we're
hour.
hoping for. Well, less coffee will be served here. Unsustainable path. That is like one of the worst things. I mean, I can't paint a good picture on that one.
Right, and I think that what the president and his policies are doing is making that much, much worse. What the CBO said is that half of the increase in health care spending over the next decade would be because of Obamacare. And if you look at what's happening to the federal debt in the time that the president's been in office over the past 5 years, it literally has doubled. It took 43 presidents, 232 years to pile up the first $6.3 trillion in debt, and this president in 4.5 years has almost doubled that amount. So it's a massive amount of spending, and of course their solution for dealing with the deficit is to raise taxes, which is the worst thing that you can do because that will stunt the economy, and we need economic growth to get to a place where these deficits are smaller relative to the economy.
And your party says that the way to, is that you don't want to raise taxes, you want to cut spending. But for the life of me, the Democrats want to raise taxes, the Republicans want to cut spending. I don't hear anybody going out there and looking at the enormous amount of waste in this government. I mean, it's just like, I bet you could go out and collect enough money so that we don't have to, raise taxes, we don't have to, cut spending. I mean, you go to the Defense Department, see how much money they're spending. Talk to, Senator Claire McCaskill about what goes over there, or Senator Tom Coburn. I mean, it's like, we're drowning in waste here in this city.
Yeah, absolutely. And, in a $3.5 trillion budget, in any government budget, there's a lot of waste and inefficiency. But as you mentioned, we've had some of my colleagues, Senator Coburn and Senator McCaskill and others, who have identified areas where you could save literally billions and billions and billions of dollars.
I mean, it's staggering, these numbers. I mean, and they're scandalizing. Everybody's scandalized. Why doesn't somebody actually go after it and get that money? Or stop it?
I think you have to. I mean, I think you've got to, through the budget process, you've got to make the hard decisions. And, we haven't passed a budget now for, 5 years in the Congress. The House of Representatives has passed a budget. They've passed a budget that's balanced. They've made hard decisions about spending and debt. But we can't get one through the Senate. And, you've got a president who I think is very much an advocate of liberal tax and spend policies. But you've got to make those hard decisions. And so far, there hasn't been the political will here to do that. But I want to make one other point about, you talked about reducing spending, which is something that all of us Republicans believe, conservatives believe we ought to do. Democrats want to raise taxes. But the other thing you've got to do is you have to grow and expand the economy. When the economy is expanding and growing, people are making money, they're investing, and they're paying more taxes. You want to get government revenues up and make these deficits look smaller by comparison? Yeah, reduce spending, but get the economy growing again. And we aren't putting the right policies in place in order to do that.
I think, though, that, let me go back to this waste thing. I know I harp on it a lot, but I think most Americans would feel more inspired, to pay their taxes, more inspired to build their businesses if they saw any good example coming from Washington. And from your Midwestern values that is that waste is is really, I mean, people don't like waste in the Midwest, and they sit here tonight and listen to all the discussion night after night after night here of the billions of dollars of waste, and I think they must think, what in the world are you all doing?
And I think that's one of the reasons that there's such low approval ratings for Washington, D.C. from the American public. And you're right, when you come from an area like the Midwest, and you're from out there in South Dakota, we have a balanced budget amendment in our Constitution.
And it's not to criticize everybody else in the country, right?
No, I know, I'm not saying that, but I'm saying that there is an ethic that you can't spend money you don't have, you have to live within your means. And I think that's something it's a sort of a common sense thing that most people around the country get, and they're at a loss as to why Washington, D.C. doesn't get it.
But it's not even like, don't spend, I mean, don't spend money you don't have. Is that you don't give contracts out to defense contractors where you give an open checkbook and the sky's the limit. I mean, there's some sort of discipline in contracting. I mean, and I'm talking billions and billions of dollars, just how we do defense contracting. I'm not even saying we don't need this stuff, but when you give someone an open checkbook and let them do cost overruns and there's no accountability, that's what I'm talking about. It's like, that's not the way people do business, back home.
No, it sure isn't, and that's why we have, You look at the debt that we're running up, $650 billion this year. That's why we've had trillion-dollar deficits for the last several years, and that's why we've got a almost $17 trillion debt. And I think the American people are fed up with it. I think we are mortgaging our children's future. And I think it's time to be transparent and to level with them. And I've got a bill that does that. I think we have for too long here put policies, launched new programs that without consideration about what it's going to do to current and future generations.
That's what Senator Kaine. A bipartisan bill, which I like.
It is. Yeah, and we got actually almost 1,000 economists that have endorsed it, 14 Nobel laureates, but it recognizes that we can't continue to not be honest with future generations. And I've got daughters that are in their 20s, and we really are. They're going to have a lower standard of living, a lower quality of life, and you heard Congressman West speaking about that earlier, and as a result of the runaway spending here in Washington. And so we need to get that under control. We also need to put policies in place that will enable our economy to grow and expand in a way that will increase the number of jobs that are out there, the take-home pay for middle-class Americans, and that will generate more tax revenue, not less. And that's also something that's not happening today. We've got a president and a lot of people in Congress who think that expanding government is a solution, and it's not. Expanding the economy is the answer.
Well, I think the fact that you and Senator Kaine working across the aisle is also, like, gives some people a little bit more hope. I think the American people like to see that. They think it's more likely to be an effort at a solution rather than a fight.
Yeah, absolutely. And I hope that we can get a lot of support for this.
Senator, always nice to see you, sir.
Nice to see you. Thanks, Greta.